everyone, my name is Marian Guevara, and here on this channel we talk about books, movies, and more. A huge thank you to anyone who is just clicking on this video, who is just checking on the channel, and a huge thank you to anyone who is a new subscriber or an old subscriber and is revisiting. Now today, I'm going to be doing a video that I've been inspired to do because I've been seeing several videos around this topic, particularly the one by John from Talking Story and Smitty 1423. I will mention their channels down below, but these particular videos were talking about books they would want to see adapted, whether in movie format or in TV format. Now, with regards to my feelings towards adaptations, particularly modern adaptations, I'm very much a curmudgeon when it comes to the matter. I am jaded. However, there comes a time where I come across a book, a series that I read, that I love, and I just think to myself, wow, just imagine this in a visual medium. And without further ado, let's just get on to these books that I think that I would like to see adapted. Now, the first one I have here to show you may not be a surprise if you follow me on Instagram or if you've been following certain discussion series that I've been having as of late, and that is the Gormenghast Trilogy by Mervyn Peake. First of all, a huge thank you to Evie from She Was Only Evie here on BookTube. She gifted me this copy, this bind-up. She and I have been having discussions on the Gormenghast Trilogy, so I will link her channel down below. Check out her channel, check out our discussions on the Gormenghast Trilogy, you know, if you've read them, because they are riddled with spoilers. But anyway, the Gormenghast Trilogy. Now, this already has an adaptation by the BBC back in 2000. It was a four episode series, 1 hour long each. And I haven't watched the entire thing. I have seen clips of it, and it is quite different, I would say, in terms of sort of like atmosphere and tone. But I would really like to see the Gormenghast Trilogy, at least maybe the first two books, adapted in a different manner than what the BBC did. Now hear me out. A stop-motion animated adaptation of Titus Groan and Gormenghast a la Corpse Bride by Tim Burton. Now, for those who don't know, Corpse Bride was a stop-motion animated film directed by Tim Burton that came out, I think, like 2004, 2005, one of my favorite films of his. And when I think of the style to be used for Titus Groan and Gormenghast, I'm thinking about the scenes in Corpse Bride that take place in the land of the living at the Everglades Estate. I will actually put up pictures, screenshots, so you get a sense of sort of the vibe, the atmosphere that I'm trying to convey. Because the Gormenghast Trilogy, particularly the first two books, are very gothic fantasy. And a lot of that has to do with the setting, the castle of Gormenghast. It is vast. It is very much a labyrinth. And when reading the first two books, you do get a sense of decay and darkness and dread and confusion. It does feel gothic. And the reason why I propose stop-motion animation, particularly in the style of Corpse Bride, is that, well, one, when it comes to stop-motion animation, you're dealing with sets. So there's sort of this innate feeling of depth when watching a stop-motion animated film, at least the way I see it. So imagine all these beautiful, intricate built sets that they're going to have to make. And another thing is that because it is stop-motion animation, you're dealing with puppets, and puppets can allow for a lot of stylization. These characters are very distinct in their physical descriptions, to a point that they could look, or they can be described as almost caricaturesque. And there are plenty of illustrations in the book of these various different characters, so you actually have a basis for how the puppets are going to look like. So, you know, much more than, once again, if you're going to be dealing with an actor. If you're going to hire an actor, they're not going to really match that much to the descriptions that Peake gave, or the illustrations that he gave, but it is possible when dealing with stop-motion animation. Not only can you have a setting, all these models that can be exaggerated and stylized and have a sense of depth. But you can also have these puppets, these characters that are also stylized, that also fit closer to the descriptions that Peake had. And I feel like putting these together, you're going to have something that is closer to the vision that Peake had for Titus Groan and Gormenghast. Another book that I wouldn't mind seeing adapted, well, if handled properly, of course, that's the caveat for all of these, if they were all handled properly, would be Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. A lot of people love the Hayao Miyazaki film. I am one of them, but I wouldn't mind an adaptation that is closer to the source material so that people can get a better appreciation for the book. I do lean more towards adapting this into maybe like a two-part series rather than a movie. I feel that if you're going to adapt this again into a movie, you are going to have to cut a lot of things. There's a lot of moving elements that sort of come together by the end, and I feel like it could be very confusing if you try to fit everything into one film. So I think a two-part animated series would be cool. I also even have an idea for one of the sections. A bit of spoilers I'm going to discuss, but there is a part in this book where it is revealed that Howl, the wizard Howl, is actually from our world. He is a man named Howl Jenkins from Wales, and there's a part in the book where he, Sophie, and Michael journey to Wales, like visit Wales. And I think it would be cool that the entire film that takes place in Ingery, in the land of Ingery, is animated. But when Howl, Sophie, and Michael go to Wales, then the film shifts into live action. And then when they go back to Ingery, then it goes back into animation. I would just love to see Book Howl, Book Sophie, and all the characters that were not seen in the Ghibli film, be adapted and seen on the screen. I think that would be really cool. This is very much a fun, whimsical type of story, and there's a lot of moments of humor in this book. Yeah, I think there's room for like an animated Howl's Moving Castle with a bit of like live action tossed in there. Now, the next book, you know what this book is. Everyone who knows me, who has, followed me on my Instagram, who has followed this channel, you know in your heart of hearts what this next book is. It should not surprise you, and that is The Books of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. Who is surprised? No one. Now, I am very half and half with regards to this being adapted. I think out of all the books, I'm the most conflicted with regards to an adaptation for this series. On one hand, I would love to have Bancroft and this series get the recognition that he and the books deserve. Absolutely. On the other hand, I am absolutely terrified of seeing Selena Sands and the rest of the series just butchered. I don't think they can cast correctly. For instance, the main character, Thomas Sunland, I know that Alan from the Library of Alexandria, in one of his videos, he described Thomas Sunland as Ichabod Crane. Like, he's built like Ichabod Crane. And yeah, he's right. Do you think they're gonna hire someone that looks like that? No, they're not. They're gonna hire someone like Pedro Pascal, and they're gonna stick glasses on him, to convey to the audience that, oh, this is an intellectual. Like, I don't have faith. I don't have faith that they can do something like just as casting, let alone, I don't know, the sets, the writing. I wish I had more faith. But in the event that, it might become a TV series, I would love to see this animated. If you've read the Books of Babel and, you are familiar with Bancroft's world building, it's so vast, it's so intricate, it's described by so many people as very quirky and unique. I think two good examples I'm thinking of with regards to like sort of a visual jumping off point would be, and I'm only basing it off of something that I've seen. So I'm thinking Treasure Planet. So Treasure Planet, what, the Disney film, what they do in that film, it's like a sort of a pseudo 18th and 19th century, but then you have the futuristic tech. Like, it's a blend of the two. And obviously with Treasure Planet, there's a lot of like swashbuckling adventure, and there is some swashbuckling adventure to be had in the Books of Babel. But aside from Treasure Planet, I'm also thinking of Arcane, particularly the world of Piltover. It does have a bit, guess, steampunky-ish look to it. So if you think about it, just imagine the look of Treasure Planet and imagine the look of Arcane, and somewhere in the middle of that, I don't know, you're gonna get sort of the atmosphere, the tone, the style of the Books of Babel. It's not completely one for one, but just those two are the closest I could pick out as being as close to the Books of Babel. I mean, those are the two reference points that I have. But yeah, I would love to see it animated. Once again, 2D animation, because I do prefer it. 2D animation, you are able to craft the world, I think, a lot better, a lot smoother. You're not going to be dealing, because if you do this live action, that's a lot of set pieces you're going to have to include. That's going to be a lot of CGI, but a lot of CGI that might not blend well. However, when you're dealing with 2D, you don't really have that much of a problem. And of course, in 2D, the characters, they can be stylized properly. You can have them look the way that they do in the book, the way that they're described. Look, I understand that there are going to be changes, obviously. You can't have it completely one for one. Understandable. But I hope that, if this ever made, I would love to see it animated, and I would love to see sort of the spirit of the series captured. I would like to see the characters done justice. So, I mean, that's all you could ask for in an adaptation of a book or series that you love. Now, for the last recommendation, it is a short story, and it is quite different in tone from the previous books that I've mentioned, but that is The Rats in the Walls by H.P. Lovecraft. Now, I have come across various different video essays here on YouTube talking about how Lovecraft and Lovecraftian horror, it's hard to adapt. However, the story I'm talking about, The Rats in the Walls, doesn't deal with the Cthulhu mythos or anything like that. It doesn't deal with Lovecraft's Dreamland series. Rats in the Walls is very much more in the vein of like Edgar Allan Poe, that type. It's like a Poe-esque Lovecraft story. And I actually have a recommendation for a director who I would like to see adapt this short story into a film. And that is Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers is the director of The Witch, of The Lighthouse, two films that I actually really, really enjoyed. I still need to see The Northman, and I am looking forward to Nosferatu. He does a very good job of just delivering absolutely unnerving atmosphere. A great sense of dark, dread and tension. But yeah, I would like to see The Rats in the Walls be adapted. I think it's going to be easier than something like, The Color Out of Space, or even The Call of Cthulhu, or something like that. Because once again, it is much more grounded. You're not dealing with eldritch horrors. It's more like the horrors within man, that type of story. Another thing that I also admire about Robert Eggers is that he does, put a lot of effort into the research of the time period that the story is taking place. And I would like to see sort of a period adaptation of The Rats in the Walls. I don't want something like it's just like a modern adaptation, like it takes place in modern times. So yeah, Robert Eggers, The Rats in the Walls, I definitely feel that it is a good combo. And I know that if it ever happens, it would be an absolutely unnerving, terrifying treat. So these are the 4 books. Well, 2 series, 1 short story, 1 book that I would like to see in a different medium, a visual medium. And who knows, maybe there's someone out there, a showrunner, a director, who also loves these stories and wants to adapt them and do them justice. Thank you for watching. Please let me know down in the comments, what do you think of my suggestions? Do you agree? Do you agree with the mediums that I have chosen for these stories to be sort of conveyed in? Do you prefer live action? Are you like me, who likes animation, who would like to see more stories portrayed in that visual medium? Please let me know down in the comments. I love having discussions with you guys down there. So yeah, if you enjoy the video, please like, subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that will be. Bye.